Bang.
Are we doing this again?
What? I'm trying to add something new to the beginning of our things.
The GidKidDad Show.
It's a great day to play, everybody. Welcome on in to the channel.
Yeah, well, I thought we were doing opera. Was that what we were doing?
Yeah, but what was that's a cat.
Well, no.
This is a cat purring.
In opera, you hear a lot of...
Cats? A lot of cats?
The
rolling of the R's.
Yes.
But you were purring.
Well...
These mics are good ASMR mics.
Yeah.
Oh, you're like a small version of like the what was it, the Warner lion or whatever it was. Was that Warner that did the lion or MGM?
MGM, yeah.
Was a yeah, but like a mini version, you know.
Well,
whether it's your first time here, you're joining us. Thank you for being here with us today. You're loved, appreciated, always welcome here in this channel, and you are
enough.
We're back with the podcast.
Yeah, we're here.
We're here.
We did it.
We did it.
For the first time in 900 years.
In so long. We filmed the first reaction coming back before the podcast.
Yeah.
But then we realized that there was more context in that we were like, hey, you guys should go check out the podcast that were going to happen later that day. And then we ran out of time.
Yes.
So we didn't. So now we're recording it. So
yeah.
It's a different day. And then the podcast will come up first. So if you want to see more about why it took so long to hear back from us, we're going to go into the 2 years thing today, but there's a ton of information in the SB19, I think it was SB19 time
yeah.
Wish
Bus
reaction, if you guys want to see more of it. But
what's changed?
So much has changed.
I don't know if you guys can see it, but
so much has changed.
I have a mustache now instead of a beard.
Oh, you had to tell everybody. You do have a mustache.
Yeah. So I'm doing that now.
I don't know.
Feels the same.
It does kind of actually though feel the same.
Yeah.
Like for you specifically, it feels the same. But I feel like you need something else with it. Like I feel like maybe like some like little like you know, like almost like fangs.
I was thinking about having it go down.
Or handlebar.
No, I don't want to be.
Come on.
Dude, so when you walk into a room and you see a guy with a twisty mustache, you instantly go, I hate that guy.
Wow. Just lost handlebar mustache guys everywhere. All handlebar mustache guys just tuned out of the podcast.
There's a good chance there's actually nothing wrong with them, but it's the same thing as like a bumper sticker where it's like you don't need to tell me anything about yourself until I talk to you. You know what I mean? Like I just don't tell me about yourself until we speak.
Okay, sure.
You know?
That's fair, but I mean, can't the same thing be said though for like anything that you do? Like, you know, we have because we got that's right, because we got these at the same time.
Yeah, we got them at the same time.
We're actually like dressed very similarly today, and that's kind of weird. I didn't realize it. We were doing the khaki thing and
just
and the
looking.
We're just doing rockin' dad stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, everything kind of says something about that. About you know?
Yeah, it's just.
Or do you like think
loud.
they're like a Bond villain? You know, like because like mustache, like the handlebar mustache, like meh, you know.
I did okay. I don't.
What's your rationale?
I don't like when people have something that says "ask me about this" because 90% of the time when you ask them about this, they'll be like, I mean, people ask me about this all the time. Like, yes, I know they do.
And you feel like the mustache is
ask me about my mustache. Of course.
Dude, what's up? Hey, man, is it hard to twirl that
thing? What do you use for that?
What do you use for that? Oh, I get that question a lot.
I get that a lot, you know? And it's like, dude, come on. I mean, just...
Again.
Be memorable on your own. You know what I mean?
Our demographics are generally like, you know, 18 to 34, and then we got a splashing and up. So like 25%. So like in that demographic, you know, I'm sure 0.001% of them are handlebar mustache wearers, and we lost that entire.
I had 5.5 foot dreads up until I was 30 something. So
that's true.
And that was one of those things. And I looked at myself one day and I was like, dude, this is ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need this to be a person, you know?
Yeah.
So that was
you were carrying like a second person, and they were long.
Yeah.
Like they were a lot. I remember when you and I
knees.
first started working together again, you had them.
Yeah.
Yeah. For a while.
Gone.
Just gone. Here one day. But what we're here for today, though, is we're gonna be we get off on so many things. You know what? It's the podcast. Like, you know, they're here for that, right? We're gonna be getting into the making of a girl group, specifically in the Philippines.
Yeah.
We're gonna be talking today, and one of the things that we've tried to do for our audience was always to kind of like to pull the curtain back.
Yeah.
Right. So that people can kind of see a little bit more because these processes, it's like, it really is like the Wizard of Oz. That's why it's called pull the curtain back, right? Because it's like everybody knows, you see your favorite K-pop acts and you see your favorite, you know, P-pop acts or whatever. And it's always like artist versus management, like ding, ding, ding. And it's always like, what's happening behind the scenes? Like, it's so sexy, right? Like, what's happening back there? And the reality is it's like, it's just more dirt, right? It's just like lifting up the rug and there's just more dirt.
Right.
But we like people knowing about the process. And part of why we went through, I think, all this to begin with was like to make a different type of label, to try something new. And so today we're going to do that. We're going to talk about your guys' questions.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about a little bit about the last 2 years, kind of what we went through going through this. And then we open it up and you laugh because I think about just today, but
no, I'm laughing because like, had we never had the channel, it would have been impossible to do what we've done.
Yeah, for sure.
But had we just stopped the channel completely when we decided and just stopped letting people in and showing people stuff, there's a good chance that like some of the very little bit of like heartache that we've had the last couple of years has come from the fact that we decided to pull the curtain back and let people in.
Because we openly talk about like the one thing that it doesn't matter where you are, what business you're in. If you are unwilling to take like constructive criticism, if you're unwilling to just talk about things in general, you can't get better, right? It doesn't matter. I mean, you've run businesses, I've run businesses like outside of this. And it's just like, you have to be open to talking about some of the things, what's working, what's not working. And especially in the music business, like on a daily basis, we're in a battle of trying to figure out what the next trend is going to be, what the next song is going to be. And never really, you and I just had like a drag out a couple days ago about a song, about the direction,
still disagree with it.
The direction that a song should go. You know, so it's just like, but those things, the difference is if we weren't open to that communication, right? Like we wouldn't be able to do that. We wouldn't be able to create better art.
Right.
And we even go through that every day. So I do agree though. I think that if we had just not, if we just shut up, and just release groups,
just name the company something that no one knew, and just like, and they're like, and then just came out right now and been like, oh, it's been us the whole time. Like it would have probably been, you know, a little bit easier. But at the same time, we couldn't have done it without opening up because of the fans that we have, the positive fans, which are
you guys.
I mean, it's really 95.5. Like the 5% are very loud.
Yeah.
In disagreeing with us and not liking us, where 95% of people do enjoy us. They're just not as loud because angry people are louder than not angry people.
Oh, man, that's true.
We see it on X.
The Karens and the handlebar mustache people of the world.
Dude, and I'm guessing the majority of the people who don't like us have twisty mustaches. I'm just putting it out there. Yeah, we don't like them. We're gonna say mean things about them.
Yeah. Oh, man. So here we are, though. How the last 2 years been for you? You know, like how's that going? A lot of change, right? You've had a lot. You've had a lot of change. I've had a lot of change. We're going to discuss some of that today. Some of it's going to be a little uncomfortable. I think it's the first time that I'm discussing some of it here, but you know, let's start with first before we get into that. Let's start with first talking about the group. Like what was the culmination of what we set out to do over the last 2 years and where we are now, and a little bit about, you know, let's start with the positive. What's worked?
Of course.
May of 2023, we started recruiting for a girl group that the intention of that girl group was to be
2023.
It's 2023.
What is it right now?
2025.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, and we're like 2/3 of the way through.
Yeah.
Well, halfway through. It's July. But May 2023. So we set out to create a girl group, and we had been doing production stuff. We had been working with local bands. We had been, doing a lot of stuff locally and regionally for quite some time, and working with business and stuff like that. And I remember early on we had talked about that we didn't want to manage artists here.
Right.
And because there's a whole different thing, and management. We've gone through this. Watch some of the other stuff.
This is how the conversation went, if you remember.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, why don't we just make a group ourselves? That was me. And then Josh goes, no, we don't want to manage groups. That's a pain in the butt. Me going, yeah, it's probably a huge pain in the butt. And then a while later, you're like,
it was like a year later. Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna move to the Philippines and start a group. I was like, what? I only wanted the one part. We don't have to move. We don't have to do all that. And then yeah, we did.
Yeah. There's a lot so there's a lot of legal stuff that goes on behind the scenes with all this that we'll try to talk about. And there is a reason that we chose not to do that specifically for some U.S. artists that we were working with at the time versus the Philippines, because it is a very, very different thing from a legality standpoint and logistically, and where our studio was at the time, and even things like insurance. Do you remember how hard it was for us to get insurance?
I remember you telling me
on the studio
about it. Yeah.
Because because we had a YouTube channel, and they didn't want to insure us because they had to insure the things that we then said.
Right.
On the it's wild here in the U.S. But so we set out to create a girl group, and that was always our intention. And the intention of the group, though, was to the same thing that our channel had been doing: bring more global audience, bring eyes specifically from mostly the U.S. Onto Filipino talent. And so we did online auditions first. I think the first round of auditions we got a few hundred was the first one. We kept it pretty short, and we were pretty just kind of blasé about it.
Yeah.
I definitely think early on when we started the processes to there is something that good things and bad things that happen along the way. The good thing that happened along the way was how much we learned. Some of the bad things that happened along the way were the way that we had to learn about them.
Right.
And I think sometimes, especially as artists ourselves, we set out and we were business owners and we're like, this is going to be great. And sometimes you set out with really, really good intentions, and those intentions don't necessarily match what the realities are that you're going to face.
Right. 100%. It's that's the thing, because we were artists, we had this vision of how we wanted to do things. And we had, like you said, we had ran businesses before, but there's a stark difference between running a business that has a product that is just a product that comes off a machine, or a product that it's very black and white as far as the numbers go. We need this machine to make this product, so we get these blanks in, and then blah blah blah, and then here's it costs this much to make, and then we make 30 cents on each unit. That's not the way that the music industry works, and it's not the way that the music industry works in the Philippines either. Yeah,
I think you nailed it on the head of the in the Philippines part. Right, because there is a huge difference the way that the Philippines business model is set up with music than the rest of it. We're going to come back. Don't worry about the girl group and what happened with that. But the rest of the world, specifically and very much so here in the U.S., which is we're the biggest music market by far in the entire world. Everybody tries to come here. It's how you get paid. You don't have different management companies. We've talked about this a lot. You don't have different management companies and record labels.
Right.
When you get a deal from a record label. Record label comes in. They either assign you a manager, you get a manager, like a personal manager, and that person is just in charge of your day-to-day stuff, helping you get some gigs, and they get a small percentage of what you do. But the label is in charge of everything.
Right.
And that's the same thing in K-pop. Right, it would be nearly impossible for these K-pop acts to be able to operate on a daily basis if the right hand and the left hand constantly had to fight each other for what's happening.
Right,
and so that was different. That was different to navigate, because we were doing both, but we were doing both in a system that isn't.
Right,
and so we were very used to the way that things are here, and the way that you also interact with artists here. And I think of how many recent conversations we've had with local artists here, people that we've been looking to do collabs with or write for. And it's interesting because they're so involved. Like they have their record deals. The record labels are paying them to produce and make music.
Right.
But a lot of their day-to-day stuff, the gigs that they're getting, things like that, like even though they're getting paid from the record label to do the music, they're still in charge of all the logistics themselves. And then they choose whether or not they want to give some of that money up to a manager or not. Most of them don't until they get bigger. So those are some of the things we learned. And I think it was funny because right away we got that reality of expectations versus reality when we sought out to create the girl group. Because in our mind, we were like, hey, we heard from all these people who came to us and were like, just give us a chance.
Right.
We want a chance. We will do whatever it takes. We want nothing more than to create a group. And I remember at first I was like, I don't want to go through the whole survival show thing. I don't want to pit people against each other. I just want to, let's just take people that are talented, that have raw talent, that just want to dedicate to this, and we'll just do that.
Right.
That didn't.
It didn't work out right.
That didn't work out right. In fact, the first Phoenix group that we had ever created, that group was 4 people, and the whole group fell apart within the first week and a half. Like we were not even in the Philippines yet when that first group died.
Yeah.
You know, and it was interesting. It should have been a red flag then of what was to come.
Yeah. But that's the plus side, and that's the double-edged sword when it comes to you specifically, is that you will literally just like head first. You'll head first through anything that's happening or any issue or anything, because like this is like if you'll see what you want. And the thing that you're like, oh, this is the dream, this is the thing, and you'll just bulldoze through any issues that come, and obviously we deal with them. Yeah, we deal with them, and we try to deal with them the best as we can. But at the same time, like in moments like that, like we didn't reflect. We're just like, oh, okay, you know what I mean?
Keep going.
Just keep going.
Just keep on going.
And that's how we've gotten here. But at the same time, there was times where we probably should have learned more than we learned at the moment.
Yeah. Hindsight's 20/20, right?
Yeah, of course.
And that was one of the first things. And there's an anecdotal story that I'll tell. I'm not going to ever mention any names in here, and nobody will ever know the first people. But every time that we've had issues with artists, it's generally been because there's been other people like in their ear telling them things that they should or shouldn't do. And we see that here, right? Like, especially where we're from. I mean, I've always had like pride that we were like the hometown kids from Racine.
Yeah.
That like made it out.
Right.
You know, because most of the time here, it's people have crazy ideas or they have good ideas and they come up with things, and then their friends flock them, or people that like are just a little better known than them flock them and like, this is a terrible idea. You suck. Don't do those things. And then before they know it, they're just talking. Some random dude that knows nothing about it is just like, oh, you shouldn't do that. You should do this. And they listen to them.
Yeah, they listen to them.
And then it fails.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with a lot of our first people was there was a lot of outside influence. And there's a specific case where we had a person that had agreed to come on, and then they were offered to be on a show, offered to be on a separate show, and they were like, "Well, could we do both at the same time?" We're like, "Well, no, you can't train with us and be on another show at the same time. That doesn't really work." And so when we did things, though, we were offering contracts and like real, like this is your pay, this is how many hours, this is what we're doing, and we were offering the one thing that everybody said they wanted. Music. Right. You're a record label. You got to offer music. And I remember having the conversation, and they said, oh, well, they've told me this, and this. They promised me this, and this. Yeah. And I just said, look, I said, in my line of work and everything that I've ever done, if it's not in writing, it does not exist. It's something that I live by. Yeah. So do this. Go in and say, hey, you've made me a lot of promises. If they then, and say, I would like this in writing. I would like to know exactly what I'm getting paid, how many weeks I'm going to be on this, give me those things in writing, and then I can make my decision. And I said, if they refuse to give you anything in writing, that's a red flag. If they get angry about you asking about having it in writing, that's even worse.
Right.
Run.
Right.
And I had a conversation with them a couple days later, and they said, I had that meeting. I said, oh, yeah, how did it go? And they said, they did exactly what you said that was going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, they got upset. They said all these things, and I'm talking to them, and yeah, they got upset about it. And I said, okay, so you're not going to do it? They're like, oh, no, I'm still going to do it.
Right.
I'm still going to do it. I'm just like, I'm scratching my head. I'm just like, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. This person had been through these things before.
Right.
And yet,
yeah,
still did it. And I think that was a good indicator of what the next 2 years were going to look like for us.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things that we've seen is that people are, and for good reason. And like, here's the thing, like, it's a good reason, but it's not a good reason. So like, people aren't willing to trust the company coming in from the outside more than they'll trust the people that live in the Philippines.
Yeah.
And like, I completely understand that 100%. Like who knows? But it's been tough because for us, it's not who knows. We know our intentions. We know what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And for time and time again, it's like, well, no, this person said this, and like they know my uncle's grandma's uncle, or whatever, and I'm gonna trust them. And then like a couple months later, you hear about it, and you're like, oh well, like we tried, you know, and that's one of the things that has been disheartening. But at the same time, I understand it because like you would trust your tribe, you know what I mean, and I completely understand it. But at the same time, it's been disheartening because we've had so many issues because of that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I think the interesting thing about it is that, you know, people think that there's the best intentions. And yet, if you just search any forum, right, consistently the one thing that people complain about right now is like the management companies, right? It's always the management companies. It's what the management companies aren't doing for their artists generally. Not what they are, what they aren't doing for their artists. And so you'd think that you'd have even more scrutiny then, because that has been the way that it has been there for years. And when we even look at like companies where the groups have had long-term success, and as of right now, the only real large-scale long-term success that a group has had is SB19, who originally did not come from a Filipino company. They came from Show BT, right? And then they formed their own company after 5 years with that company. And there's probably a whole conversation that we had about that. And then Beanie, who came from ABS, which was a very large company and was able to spend money.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I like, because we've talked, I just want to stop real quick on that. We've talked before about like the difference in production between different pop groups and things like that. I do want to give an up to ABS, because some of their work is very good as far as like musically goes. I'm not sure if they have internal production teams or if they buy from outwards or the like things. It's just they're playing on a good level, and I enjoy most of the stuff that comes out of there. Yeah,
one of the groups that just debuted recently, one of the singers from that group is the person that wrote Pantropico, or helped write to Pantropico for them.
Right.
You have
Wink.
Yes.
Wink.
And you have Flip Music, which has kind of been a subsidiary, and I know has written a lot of music for Beanie. A lot of Beanie's bigger songs. And I think you hit the nail on the head of kind of one of the things that we're trying to do that the Philippines just hasn't gotten yet. SB19 has remained consistent in their music because they've had the same people writing their music the entire time.
Yeah.
Them. Right? Yeah. You have some additions, Rad Kids, which is Pablo's brother also writes, and then Simon Cerveda. But it's been the same people writing their music. And with K-pop, it's the same thing. You might have some one-offs, but it's always touched by this internal team that understood the group's concept, that understood. So it creates this narrative. And I think that that's one of the things that ABS has done a better job at is I think they're finding a better way to keep Beanie's narrative going. When you hear a song, you know it's a Beanie song.
Right.
And I don't always feel that same way with some of the other groups where it's just like they're really just kind of trying to find their sound and they're working with whoever they can. That's okay.
Right.
Like this person, they don't have the full thing there. But outside of them, right? No huge labels or anything like that backing anybody. And we wanted to kind of change that system, right? When we set out to do this, we wanted to change that a little bit. And we also wanted to run it more like the way that the labels run it. Right. We wanted to focus on music. We wanted to really focus on music first. And that was, I think, very, very evident what we did. And as we kind of go back now, because I'm trying to figure out a way to transition back to where we started, which was finding the girls. Yeah. Because I don't want to get too far. This is already going to be a long podcast, I can tell. And when we found the girls, that though was part of what we were searching for, was specifically on the music element of it, is that we wanted to create this theme. And I know that we had basically, you and I, just together, had kind of created the basics of what the group concept would be like before we even started searching.
Yeah.
So we had kind of a set line. In fact, I know we had written, because at the time we were working with, we were trying to write songs for K-pop groups.
Right.
At the time, we really started diving in. We were also trying to pitch them to P-pop groups, but we first started writing songs for K-pop groups and trying to sell them and ghostwrite and stuff like that, because that's what most of the K-pop groups, that's what happens. A lot of the songs you guys hear in K-pop, by the way, it's like it's purchased and then it's finalized by somebody else, and you'll never see that person's name.
And the craziest part is how transparent Cat's Eye is being about it. Just buying songs that were already released.
Yeah.
Like they were already out and released and blowing up. And then they were like, can we buy that from you? And they're like, yeah, sure.
But different because they're running them like a US. It's weird because they have K-pop management and yet they're running them like a US pop group.
Yeah.
You know, it feels they feel like much more like Pussycat Dolls to me, like in the way that they're being run and managed in their story rather than like K-pop, even their lives. It's very chaotic.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, so we wanted to focus on music, and I think that when we had reached out to do that, we already had kind of like an idea in our head. We lost literally within the first week. Then we lost 3 of the 4. We kept the one person on to be kind of the leader of the group, and then we went back and we searched for more. We opened back up the auditions, and we were able to find some amazing members from that. And I remember as we were making final decisions, the two people that we recruited during that time are still with and debuted with the group today. That was Thea and Rika, which you guys know as Aki now because her stage name is Aki.
Yeah.
And Rika. And man, did we luck out with them.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Dude.
We had a 4th member that came on, who her name was Quinn. And again, being very transparent about this the entire time. And it's funny because I'm sure that these things will probably come out at some point, but when we chose Quinn, we were actually we were looking for a very specific aesthetic for that and a vocal quality. And we were actually between her and Zia.
Yeah.
Way back. This is 2.5 years ago that we were looking, and Zia had applied the first time. And I remember I had left it up at the time to the group leader to decide kind of who, because we really did from day one. The group members, the leaders, are so empowered in our groups. And it was really like, I think we should go in this direction. And if it was ever a really bad decision, we override and we're like, this is a bad business decision.
Right.
But most of the time we're like, hey, you're the one who's got to do this on a daily basis. And so the leader had picked Quinn. But they sat in a very, very similar spot. Very, very similar, just light, airy voices, kind of had a rap thing. They dance was not their focus. It was really vocals and visuals. And we get the girls and they come in, and I think Quinn was only there for 30 days, 45 days or something like that.
Yeah, I met her the first time I went out.
Yeah. Very, very nice.
Yes,
very, very nice. And again, it was very mutual. And what became evident, though, I think for all of these people is very, very few of these groups are getting real, proper training.
Right.
Very, very little. And so what we noticed out there is a lot of the groups are just left kind of to their own devices. It's like, okay, practice. And it's like, but that's not necessarily good training. But, and we could have a vocal coach every couple of weeks to work on something, and you might dance with each other, a couple times a week, you're getting together to dance for a couple of hours. It's like, but that's not the 1,000 times you need to practice. And what we were going for was like, this was going to be a 10 to 14 hour a day thing, so some of the things I'm going to talk openly about, our contracts, generally speaking, and we've already gotten permission from the girls to talk about this, generally speaking. But the things that are in our contracts are, one, we wanted the artist to have better contract terms than what was generally out there.
Right.
And so we did two things. One, this was more of a partnership than it was just kind of like a label artist relationship. They were supposed to be more involved in the content creation. So we did things like training, and there's a question in here that we'll talk about. But when we did things like training, we're not just training these artists to sing and dance and look good on stage, right? There's PR training. We do actual like music classes, and I'm not just talking about like music theory and stuff. I'm talking about like, I remember we did a whole thing on like hip hop education and hip hop culture and music, because look at how many Kiss of Life got literally canceled, and how many times have we seen it over time because people not understanding hip hop culture and then getting global. So we do things like that, and we try to do music business classes so they can understand what's actually happening, how their money is getting spent, how those dollars come in or where they're not coming in from. And then in addition to that, like music production classes for the ones that want it. Currently, there's a question here from, I won't say the names, but there's a question here just saying that personally love to know how the girls are involved in the writing and producing of the songs. And really, when we brought in Cole, Cole got one of the big reasons that we brought her in, outside of her being extremely talented in the other categories, was because she had a music production degree and was very, very serious about the production aspect of it. Yeah. And it's a huge thing if you and I don't have to spend hours upon hours, even recording vocals.
Yeah. Which is
sometimes
the next single that we are recording tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
She will be engineering all the vocals.
Yeah.
So that's a big step, man.
Yeah. And so, our goal is to have these artists flourish, right? To not be as reliant on this, because ultimately it's someday, as we build this system out, we want them to be the mentors of the next group. We need people like Cole to be able to take the next spot, and the group retires. And now Cole is a lead producer leading, the music production for a group that we have 8 years from now or 9 years from now coming out, And so, as we've kind of set all this stuff up, those are kind of the classes and stuff. And that's what a lot of these places are lacking. And I think that what we found is there is a disconnect sometimes between what people think that they want, especially when it comes to idolhood. Is that the right word? Idolhood? Idolship? Idolship? What do you think? Idolship?
Yeah, no, idolhood I think would be better.
The idolship?
It's not idolship.
Red leader. Calling the idolship. Do 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 do. Close Encounter of the Third Kind. John Williams.
Yeah.
5 notes.
Okay.
Come on, man.
I thought you were doing, because I was doing.
No. No. You're doing
Morse code.
Morse code.
Who's Morris? Who the hell's Morris? And why are we using his code?
Oh man, welcome to the podcast. But to go back, where was I? Damn, we were talking about this happens all the time when we start laughing.
That we saw there's a difference between
idolship, and but there's a difference, and I think because it's very, very easy to see your favorite idols performing on stage and be like, man, I want that. And then you go and you're in like a K-pop dance group or something like that, and you perform a couple of times, and there's people out there and they're cheering. But being talented, man, how many label reps have we talked to recently where we've talked about being talented is just the cost of literally getting in the door?
Yes, exactly. Like that's not. It's just. Right, like that's it.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to talk to me? Okay, are you talented? Okay, now There's everything else that has to happen after that.
Right.
So that's a tough part.
Yeah. And we saw that as we kind of went in was like individually talented people do not necessarily always make, especially when you're building a group.
Yes.
Do not always make the best group members, especially if they're like coming from like solo careers. Because again, you have to do a lot of self-sacrifice for these groups. And once we started putting some of these members through training, and it's okay. That's why you do training. That's why they have such big training systems. And our idyllic ideology of like, oh, if we just put the groups together and we just take people by their word of, I really want to do this, and then put them through training, they're going to make it.
Yeah.
That was unrealistic. That was a mistake by us. And, but that's also why you put them through training, is then you find out. And it turned out not everybody could handle the type of training that we were going to do, because we were trying to be at a specific level just to get through the door. Right. And so I think that was one of the missteps, but through that though, we were able to learn. And when we finally did, we brought in other members then. So we brought in Brenna at the time, and then Trixie left.
Yes.
And then we brought, then we did the show.
Right.
So at that point we were like, okay, we need to open this up. We need to really, it wasn't about anymore of like, we knew that like, at least in the couple that we had the right girls. Like Thea really at that point in time was kind of who we were building the group around. Right. She was what in the K-pop sphere you'd consider like the golden maknae. We got to come up with a name. It's like the golden bunso, because in P-pop they call it bunzo. That's the youngest.
Oh,
member.
Okay.
But we were essentially like, she just was she was so talented in so many categories. And so we were like, okay, we're going to build around her. So we decided to do the show, and we found all these people for the show, and we had thousands. I think a couple thousand, 3,000, something like that.
That was one of the best, coolest times. Really, I mean, it was a lot of work and all that, but like, man, like just being on the set and like the cameras and the crew, that was so cool. I
wish you guys could have seen it.
Yeah, well, so
it
got a little messed up, and and that's actually nobody's fault. It's just old hard drives' faults. But the crew was really cool. The one guy that kept making me do the
Transformer thing. Yeah, Optimus Prime.
Optimus Prime.
Now you have to do it for everybody. You realize that, right? Because you brought it up, so people are going to be like, "Oh,
no, okay." So the whole crew had headphones on, and they could always hear us talking. Like we had our little lav mics, and I was like testing my lab mic, and you're not supposed to test them like this.
Yeah.
But I did all the time because I'm
a jerk.
Yeah. And I was like, Autobots, roll out. And then the one guy thought it was so funny. God, what was his name? He was cool.
I don't remember.
He thought it was really, really funny, and it was always a thing, like every day. And
do the thing, do the thing.
Yeah, do it
do
again.
the thing, do the thing.
It's like we all heard it.
Yeah.
But it was, man, that was really cool. And never in a bajillion years hey, what do you think you're gonna do when you grow up? I'm gonna be on a show in the Philippines where we are recruiting for a girl group for our label, and I would say it was a dream come true, but I never dreamt that, so it's just something that happened.
It was just a come true. No dream, just a come true.
Yeah,
man, but that show also opened our eyes, and I think when we did that show, I remember right before that show, we were facing some other internal things that were happening at the time.
Yeah,
we'll talk about a little bit, and you and I were kind of just like, do we just go back to what we're doing? You know, because we were doing fine. We were doing great.
We were doing
the studio was doing well. We were getting in work. We had all kinds of time. The channel was doing phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know, and that was kind of like our last, like, all right, let's see.
Yeah.
Right. Like, let's see. And yeah, man, all of a sudden I remember the first day of auditions, of like the live auditions. So the way that it worked for you guys at home is we got all these online auditions. and those got scraped. And then about 350, 360 of them came through. And from there, you and I basically went through all of them, just sat down, and we kind of were like, okay, these people we reached out to, and I think we picked 80. It was roughly 80 that we had reached out to. We made offers to come in. We want to see you as a live audition. And we gave them kind of things. And then out of there, we had like 64, 65 people that actually showed up over the course of 3 days. And man, I just remember the girls coming in, and I was like, man, we hit the jackpot.
Yeah.
You know, and ironically, and as people that have actually watched the show or the auditions, some of the people that made it through, shocker, spoiler alert, like people like Minea, where people are like, oh, why did you not pick this person, and you know, why did you pick her? Like, yeah, she's cute, and then like now she's just like rock star,
awesome,
you know. And again, it was because we weren't looking for the same things. We were looking for like the X factor and people that just had the drive, that just wanted to do it. Because a C player with good habits and good motivation will outwork an A player with bad habits
100% of the time,
every day of the week.
And like the thing is, if we had wanted to get a group, put it together, and have them out performing within 2 months so that we could get our monies back as fast as we could get our monies back. We could have done that with a lot of the contestants that were there. The group would have fallen apart probably in like a year and a half because nobody would have been able to get along, and we didn't train them and things like that. But we were willing to put in the work to make sure that the group actually had a chance to make it past their first year, make it past their first album. You know what I mean? Like, and because we were willing to put in that kind of work into training these girls, we had to make sure that the girls that we got were willing to put in that same kind of work as well. Yeah.
And again, we made some mistakes along the way with some of those decisions, which we learned about with the girls. I think there was a lot of mistakes we made along the way where we picked girls based on, like, it's sometimes things are a blessing, because we wouldn't have picked some of the girls that we picked, I think, originally, had we not made some of the mistakes that we had made.
Yeah.
You know, and so sometimes like you use these things and they're learning moments that you take with you. And even towards the end, like in labels, by the way, you go and you sign, you know, Ja Rule Light off the street. I don't know.
Ja Rule Light.
Ja Rule Light.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know why Ja Rule came to my head.
What would I be without
you? Yeah, Ja Rule came to my name.
Or Light.
Because
Ja Rule Light.
Yeah. What would I be without you? Yeah, there you go. Now you got me. So you go and you sign him. There is like a 90% chance that even once you spend money on him, gave him an album deal, most of the time the album doesn't even ever get released.
Right. Right.
He just stays signed to the label, and because it's either not good enough or whatever happens, right? There's like a 90% chance that these groups fail.
And especially in the U.S., like a band gets signed, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, we're signed," and then the label's like, "Okay, here's your budget for your album."
Yeah.
The album, they can't get along long enough to either get the album done, or the album's not good enough, and the label doesn't put them out, and then they're stuck on that label for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Just shelved.
Yeah.
If you want to do some songwriting for us, cool, we'll pay you for that, but that's really it. And you can't do anything else. In the U.S., that happens all the time. You sign to a label and then you get shelved. Yeah. Period. And there's no like, let me out. And it's like, no, you signed.
Right.
You know.
Well, and there's debt.
Right.
Right. If they pay off their debt, generally they can get out. But there's no way to pay off your debt when you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right. Unless you're a killer songwriter or a producer and you work to pay off that debt.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the biggest differences that we were also having a challenge with when we were recruiting.
Yeah.
People didn't understand. Like, they were like, we want music. They didn't understand the concept of a record contract or a record deal.
Right.
It was like unfathomable because everybody was so used to these management contracts where it's like, you come in, we find somebody to give you a song, go do mall shows.
Right.
For 2 years on 2 songs.
Right.
And so that was one of the challenges of like explaining what these record contracts are, and that we were really going to be focusing on music, right? That had to be a big focus. And as we went through, as we started auditioning and we went through all of this, I remember after the first show when they came back for the training camp, that was really like such an eye opener to see who rose up and who could kind of handle, because like we purposely put them through hell.
Yeah.
At that training camp. Again, we had medical people on, but like people almost passed out. A lot of people had to sit out. There was hydration issues. There was injuries,
right.
Which is no different than like, if you're going to want to be a pro NFL player,
yeah, 100%.
You're going to get injuries. If you want to be a pro basketball player, our coach, our amazing dance coach at the show, and now Coach Ren talks about all the time, like all the times that they like, you're like throwing up on the side, almost ready to pass out, and you keep going because that's how competitive the dance industry is.
Right.
And that was really when it was like, I think that we have some girls here. I think that we have some that like really can do this, can do what we're looking to do. And the reality is, I'm going to read this question now because it kind of goes into where we are, but are you going to appeal more to the bilingual lyrics for the global audience? Okay. And the reason I say this is because there is this kind of like debate about like, oh, the whole K-pop wannabe thing, or just trying to be K-pop or whatever, and all the labels that they put on it. And so there's that debate. But then there's also the second debate of you have to be locally liked first to be liked elsewhere.
Okay. Yeah.
Not based in fact.
No,
at all.
I mean, it doesn't, I mean, you could, wherever you want you want to be, wherever you want people to like you, as long as you're good, they'll,
well, it's not just where you want them to like you. It's where people just happen. Yeah. It is, what is it, 10,000 new artists released like every single day or something like that on Spotify.
It's insane.
Right? There's millions upon millions. Finding an artist there is nearly impossible. So you never know. Like if you're just literally going to one audience, that would be like me wanting to sell gas. But me saying, I am only going to sell gas to A-team type vans.
Right.
That come in. I don't want anybody else, because until I can get A-team vans, I can't sell gas to the guy with the Prius.
Right.
Like
Right.
you're closing off so much of your audience, and so many groups right now. Black Eyed Peas is touring all over Latin America right now. They're not even big here anymore,
right?
Because that's where likes them now. And I always tell people, does anybody know where Backstreet Boys got big first?
Yeah.
And people are always like, oh, well, they got big in the U.S. No. They took off in Germany. For like 2 years, they toured Germany before they finally got a deal in the U.S., because that's just happened to be where they were taking off. And the reason that we talk about, I bring this up with the bilingual lyrics thing, is due to the fact that when we created this group and we looked at the dynamics and we looked at the groups that were really having successful globally, like not just relying on a local geographic, but globally, the one thing that led to a lot of their success was integrating some kind of major English song into their repertoire. Right. It was all of a sudden when they really started getting a lot of momentum was those English songs. And we hear some feedback all the time, which is good feedback, but talking about like when the girls do their stuff and they're like, oh, well, you need to speak in Tagalog more, so like you can get with locally. And I think that the people forget that like Metro Manila speaks Tagalog.
Yeah.
There's more people that don't speak Tagalog in the country than speak Tagalog in the country.
Right.
And once you go outside, it's much more likely that people will understand English than will understand any one of the 173 dialects that's faced there.
Right.
And so for our global strategy, it was always going to be a dual language strategy. You need to give people something so that when you make a song in English, you can have it listened to anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Right? And of course, there's going to be songs, Sumagal sa akin, that was clearly made just for a Filipino audience.
Right. No, and that's so that's the thing, like we continue and will write songs specifically for the Philippines. Yeah. But we want to make sure that we keep the door as open as possible.
Yeah.
So that the girls have the best chance to make a career that goes beyond the next couple of years and goes a career that goes beyond our contracts.
Yeah.
And the thing is like the dream is for them to be to get as big as they possibly can, so that when they're done with all this, they can do whatever they want. They can continue in the industry. They can retire completely. You know what I mean? Whatever it may be, like the goal for this, and for not just the girls, but for our entire staff, is for things to go as well as possible. And if you close those doors and say, no, we don't want anyone who doesn't understand our language to like the music, you know what I mean? That's like, we just can't. We can't do that. We want the girls to be as successful as possible.
Yeah. And so this leads into another question, which was Embers would love to know what type of management are handling Phoenix, and what can we expect in securing show appearances, guestings, and even their styling. And this is where, like, when we decided to come to the Philippines, I know that, like, we joke about it, and literally it was one day, it was like, let's go to the Philippines. But we didn't just, like, leave the next day.
No. We did what we were supposed to do.
We sat down and we did market research and market analysis, and did, like, deep-seated research, looked at the legalities, looked at what we needed, what we didn't need, you know, and even as much as why did we create a girl group over a boy group? There were specific reasons for that, because there was a need. And so we looked and we researched. And as we did all of this, when we make decisions, any business, doesn't matter whether it's music or not, it's still the music business. It's not the put whatever you want out and hope that it sticks.
Right.
There still has to be an audience for what you want to put out. And so with this, you know, we take those things very, very seriously, and making sure that the girls have the right things. And that also sometimes, though, means getting out of your microcosms on, like, social media. Like, we're not listening to social media to tell us what to do. We're listening to business leaders and music industry insiders and more people that are like, hey, this is where your music can take off globally.
Yeah.
And, you know, a little bit of where are we at now? Well, you know, because I think we should celebrate our victories when we can. As of right now, Phoenix is now entered into the top 10 in terms of monthly listeners on Spotify. They are the top 6 on YouTube in terms of monthly listeners.
Dude.
They have, and from a pre-debut standpoint, this is the largest pre-debut from a independent label, especially because we actually gave them a lot of songs, which most people don't want to spend the money on in a pre-debut. They've had 4 chart hits on iTunes. 2 of them were number 1s. And so all of these things, though, it's like when the hate comes in, or when the things come in, and it's just like, when you're trying to critique something that's going well, right? It might not look well to you because you're not seeing it necessarily locally, but that's not, there's a much larger thing in the music business. And the first thing that has to happen is people have to enjoy the music.
Yeah.
One of the biggest tells of whether a group can last isn't necessarily about if they can fill 100 seats. It's how many monthly listeners do you actually have, and are you retaining to stream your music? Because that's how you get in the doors of more people. That's how you're going to do concerts and stuff like that. And so to kind of answer the question then, we have a music first mentality.
Yeah.
Everything that we do. As of right now, we have music set for the next 18 months, I think, is pretty much planned out.
Yeah.
We're creating right away. I'm trying to say enough without giving too much away. Girls they're releasing their pre-debut EP.
Yeah.
Which they've already released 3 singles. There's another single coming out on the EP that's going to be out on the 25th. But what we can promise you is you will never, with this label, you are never going to go, man, when's the next comeback going to happen?
Right.
Ever.
Right. Because it's not like, come back from what? We ain't go nowhere.
Yeah. And I think that's been one of the cornerstones of why K-pop, the good K-pop groups work, because they never go anywhere.
Right.
You never have to wait too long, and then their music numbers don't die
except for the one exception, Blackpink. Where
yes, and they are an anomaly of like, hey, we can get away with releasing 4 songs a year, and
Blackpink is like the Birkin bag of K-pop, where it's
very,
like
very
people want it, and then they get it, and then they just keep wanting more of them. Like I still to this day, like we've talked to so many people, nobody knows how it was done.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, it's definitely the antithesis to the way that the music model normally is. Yeah. And but other than that, it's like our first and foremost will always be on music, and that also comes from a quality angle. And so this is where some of the guestings get tricky. But to first tell you, so one of the things that we wanted to make sure that the girls had was their own cornerstone of their message is their message. Yes. We had a concept for the group, but we purposely brought people into the group that fit that concept and that wanted to have a message or talk about that. And then when we finalized the concept, we sat down with all the girls, and I remember just the big boards and going through for weeks of like, what is it that we want to say? What is it? What's your individual story? And creating this concept and this narrative out of there. And we are so grateful because some of the girls that we got on are scary smart.
Yeah.
Like for anybody. Yeah. Like I'm not saying for like, and I shouldn't, I call them girls because endearing, like some of them have been with us since they were girls. Like Leia's actually been with us since she was 17, you know? And so like, to me, they're always going to be like our kids.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, but I don't mean to take anything away from them because they're unbelievably intelligent women. But I mean, these girls have communications degrees and some of them are doing copyright for other stuff. Like they're unbelievably smart. They do not need me to tell them what to do on a daily basis. And it was super important that like in their management style and what they do and their message that they get autonomy and they get some authority in that. Yeah. Our job is really to be a guide. Right. Like once we set everything up and once we completed their training and obviously to make music for them, it's more to be a guide of, the business part of it.
Right. Know? It's the girls are shopping for themselves, but every once in a while they're like, does this apple look messed up to you? And then Josh is like, no, it's good.
It's a nice apple.
Good. It's all good.
It's a nice apple.
Yeah, you might want to wash it off just a little bit, but
Gideon has this new thing with grapes, by the way. My son, I've been giving him. We've been eating grapes a lot, and the other day, every grape, like I was working on something, and he'd be like, "Is this one good? Is this every grape?"
Yeah,
for like the entire bunch of grapes. I was like, "Buddy,
but that's
if it's not a raisin, if it doesn't look like a raisin." It's okay. I promise you, it's okay.
I feel like you just had that same conversation this morning on the lineup meeting. What do you call them? Alignment meeting.
Alignment meeting.
You said the same thing, but just in a different context. Like, hey, I don't need to know about it.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was the other day when they were talking about somebody who.
Yeah. Anyway, but so back to where we were with the girl, the apples. But yeah, it's basically like that. Like you want to get them to the point, much like with your children, you want to get them to the point where they're confident enough, where they don't have to come to you for those questions. That's our job. And we're not done with that. Like they're in pre-debut, they're learning every day. They're learning so much more every day. And it's cool because less and less do they need to come to us with those questions and ask us those things. And so to kind of give you guys an idea of how the setup is up. First off, this was always meant, it is a Pinoy pop group, a P-pop group, but it was always meant and intended to be for a global audience. And that includes the Philippines.
Right.
Okay. The top artists in the Philippines are still Sabrina Carpenter, Taylor Swift, Bruno Mars, right? Yeah. Like it really is a global pop sound that is still happening. Cat's Eye is blowing up all over the place right now, right?
Yeah.
And so that was always the intention. And with that being said, so like our job really now after kind of getting them there is to now create more music for them. We have a lot of music that's coming out. We have music already set up in this whole lineup, and then you and I are also creating the next lineup.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah. When there's time in between, making the tweaks and all that stuff to the stuff that's currently coming out, then We just write something new and keep going.
Right, and just keep going on it. And so that kind of happens. And then the team that we set up and we trained in the Philippines, because also the teams are as important. It's honestly, the team is half of it, right? Like, it's great to have great artists, but they're nothing without the team, and the team is nothing without the artist.
Yeah.
And so the team, basically, they manage themselves on a daily basis.
Yeah,
right?
they really do.
They have a great artist manager that manages themselves. We have some great partnerships right now that are helping us with other things. One of them, if you guys aren't there yet,
Dude.
the description is going to be there. Hey Rumi, it's a newer app, but basically it is a fan app that you guys can directly communicate with Phoenix on a daily basis and kind of go in there and everything. They see everything first. So Hey Rumi has been instrumental in that. And then InCircle, which is another kind of like influencer network company, is helping us with PR and marketing and getting gigs and things like that. So we've put together these amazing partnerships. Kumu as well. Yes, where the girls are doing all their live streams. I know somebody said on here, where can we learn more? Not only are we posting vlogs weekly for the girls on the Phoenix YouTube channel, but they do lives all the time on Kumu. So we put out some great partnerships. This Site Up, which did their amazing videos at start. So,
dude,
this can't happen on its own, and we really wanted to reach out as opposed to there. And not there's anything wrong with this, but there's management companies out there that are very, very like, we're like, no, we do music really well, we do messaging really well, but we don't do these things. So we need all these people to come on and give us a hand with it. So that's kind of who. I mean, there's a lot of people, but overall, at the end of the day, GKD Records, which is the U.S. arm of GKD Labels, which you guys know as GKD Labels. GKD Records is actually our U.S. and our parent company. That's the one ultimately that their recording contract is through for the international aspect of it, and we just provide them with guidance on a daily basis when they need it.
Yeah,
when we have alignment meetings and make sure that we're doing it. But the one thing that is true, that will always remain true, is like the music is the focus, and then everything else comes around it. So when we talk about securing things like show appearances and guestings and even their styling, a lot of this are things that we're going against the grain on. Yeah. And there can be people that agree with us or disagree, but guest appearances. We've seen some good guest appearances. We've seen some really bad guest appearances.
Yeah.
And I think this is part of why P-pop originally got a bad name. And it's because whenever people can like think about the Philippines and like the amazing singers, it's always like some kid singing karaoke in a mall.
Yeah.
But like just ripping.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And that's when nothing else. But the minute that you put 5-6 mics, wireless mics, all this equipment up, have all of these technical things, have a bunch of people in groups dancing and singing together when they really haven't probably put in the time or the training or the practice for it, what ends up happening then is like those live vocals that you hear that fan cam takes a shot of, that's what's being played, and you hear, Stray Kids, and then right after it you hear Group X.
Yeah. And
there's going to be a comparison. You can't stop the general public from comparing those two things.
Even if you call it something different, or if you do whatever, it's going to be compared to it. So as far as like guestings and stuff for Phoenix Code, like a little bit of
there are things
that need there are things that we require for them to be able to either have or the venue to have to be able to do that's what's going to have to happen for them to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And I think in the future, I'm pretty sure that we're going to be putting together our own team for that. Yeah. Once things continue to go better, we'll put together our own team to be able to go into those places and do all that stuff.
And it's a learning thing, right? For everybody, I think that we have to realize that this is the start. The industry, it's just getting its legs. You have 2 groups right now.
Yeah.
You have 2 groups, and neither one of those groups are still the size of the other top 10 groups in K-pop right now. So the industry needs to grow, and some of that is investment in infrastructure and in the music and in the technology, or in even sometimes these artists go on in the space. Like they can't dance properly in this space, right? And so a lot of those things happen. And so we have some pretty high standards, but we are putting those things together. The girls are going to be on the Wish bus, which
Dude.
Always great sound on the Wish Bus. You never have to worry about the Wish Bus, right?
No, you don't. But
I wish there was 50 of the Wish Buses.
Can't believe it.
That you're going to miss it again, or that
no,
they're
of
on
course,
there?
of course, I can believe that I'm going to miss it again because that's just how my life works.
Yeah.
But no, I just can't believe that there's been a lot of lead up with the group.
Yeah.
People have known that a group has been forming for a long time.
Yeah.
At one point, there was a number in their name. You know what I mean? Like we've been going through all kinds of stuff with them, but for them to finally be out, and it's month 2 or month 3.
June 6th, so month 2. Yeah, we're in month 2.
We're in month 2.
Yeah,
and they're already on the Wish Bus, and all the things that have happened as far as just if we just talk about the numbers, you know what I mean, and the people that have reached out to us. So the last 2 years have been us kind of like going down, Mr. Analogy, going down this hallway, and like all these doors keep closing as we like, hey, would you be able to help us with Gadonk?
Yeah.
Hey, I was wondering if we could Gadonk. Do you think we could collab on something Gadonk? And then like right before the girls came out, a couple essential doors opened up.
Yeah.
Our team got bigger. Our partnerships have gotten bigger. Some of the best people that we've worked with have come in recently. Not to take away from the crew that's been with us since day one.
Yeah.
They obviously know that they're goats, but like, and then now that the girls are out and all the fancy numbers and blah 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 are coming in, those doors are starting to be like,
yeah. Hey.
Did you say that you needed something before? And like, yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. And in some cases we're like, yeah, we did, but we're good.
Yeah.
And then in some cases we're like, you know what? You were cool about saying no.
Yeah.
Before. So
yeah. Yeah, one of those things that's very interesting is like just getting decent music videos done, because people forget, like, there's the same kind of companies doing all of them. There's some quality things. There's some changes that we wanted to make to them, and companies reaching out and be like, hey, we would like to do these for, like, just those things.
Yes.
Has been amazing. And it's a fine line, because people will say, like, well, you can't get the fans if you don't go and do these shows.
Right.
At the same point in time, looking at a long-term picture, it is very, very different when we are not in this for like making our money back immediately. We are making this a very long-term venture.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these companies are trying to churn out very, very quickly, but it doesn't necessarily get a large audience. It just gets a quick, small audience.
Right.
And so with these things, like, we're very open. We would love to do mall shows, but there's what's called like a tech rider, and so you have to have this type of technology in order for them to go and perform.
Right.
Because again, like, you can have great performers, and if it's a bad show, there's safety concerns with stages.
Yeah.
And the size of stages.
We ran into that before.
Where the stage is like falling apart, and so all of those things, guestings, there's specific things that, like, there's some, let's be honest, there's inappropriate shows out there that, like, they just, like, it's very, very big in the culture of, like, asking certain type of questions to, like, try to get the group in a bad place.
Right.
It's just like those things don't help. And I would say at the end of the day, name me a single P-pop group that, because of these guestings, that's the reason that they've had success. Because SB19 did not have sex. Did not have success. Did not have success. Yes. There it is. That's the cancer.
The clip is gonna go on Twitter.
They did not have success due to, like, in fact, when they were first doing, they were just doing their own buskings and stuff because people wouldn't give them the light of day. So it wasn't because of that. It was the antithesis of that. And Beanie has been the exact opposite, where they did have a lot of money, and so they kind of did their own thing and carved out their own circle and didn't do the smaller shows and things. And so it's one of those things where it's like, there's a lot of people that have a lot of opinions, but, like, at the end of the day, we have to look at the business aspect of it and, like, is this actually favorable? The second thing is, are they going to get paid properly?
Right.
We run into, and I'm not going to mention the network, but we run into issues where we got offered fees to be on, because there's licensing fees, there's things that artists are supposed to get paid, and they just never paid.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of excuses for why they can't pay, but they've just never gotten paid. And then we heard from all these other artists that they never got paid. And that was one of the things that we were trying to stop.
Right.
Was making sure that artists get paid. And so trust me when I tell you there are people in place that are actively working, and we're actively working on getting the girls out. They are still in pre-debut.
Yes.
And so really what this was a flavor testing of their music and focusing on the music. How viable is the music and the direction and what people think about that. And then once we get to official debut, you're going to see a lot more. But there are a lot of things coming up already for that.
And I just want to let people know, like, because the general question, like they're saying guestings, they're saying, are they going to be doing this, that, and the other thing? So, and that's, they're asking those things because that's what they know of being out. But what I will say, or what we will say, is that the girls will be out, and they will be going out and doing things.
Yeah.
It might not be the things that you've always known.
Yeah.
But they will be doing it, and the only reason that sometimes they might not, or whatever, is because we're going to do our best as we let them out is to protect the girls.
Yeah.
Whether it's protect them monetarily, whether it's to protect them just physically, or protect the hard work that they've done
and their image and the brand that they're building.
Right. So if you're wondering, like, oh, why aren't they doing this and they're doing this? It's like, it's to protect the girls and everything that they've worked so hard to do.
Yeah. And also know that, like, the girls also have a say in the gigs that they've done, just like most of our other artists have had a say. Now, if that, again, there is a line for both of us. There's like a veto that our groups have where it's like, there's been some gigs where like, we really don't feel comfortable doing this gig. Great.
Cool.
That's it. Right. Same thing. We really can't do this gig because of this.
Right.
That's the way that it should be. And going back to the because we started talking about contracts and we're kind of all over. We have so much to talk about.
Can we take a second?
Sure. What do you want?
Well, I have to leave for a moment, and we can just pause.
You have to leave?
You're going to have to cut this.
Oh, okay.
You're going to have to cut this because I have to use the bathroom.
Oh, he's got a, I think he's got
But I didn't want to say
I think he's got a poo-poo, guys.
But I just drank so much water. Yeah.
All right. We'll be back from a moment after these sponsorship here.